Video, we will talk about relationships between tables. Now that we've created the link between the data in customers, orders, and product tables, we need to tell SQL Server that we've built that relationship. So we need to formalize the relationship that it can be recognized by the database engine. This will enable SQL Server to follow the threads between the table for us so that we don't manually have to look up one value from one table to another. Now, we do this in the table on the foreign key side of the relationship. So in our case, this is the orders. If I just right click on this one and say design, once you're in the design view, you click on the column name. Now you've got this icon with a plus two tables. So it's got relationship. Click on the relationship. Now this will load up the relationship window. Click on add. Now, by default, it's just going to name this as a foreign key, orders underscore orders. But what you need is, in general, you need to click on table and column specification. So once you've clicked onto this one, then you've got the three dots. Click on three dots, and what that would do is that will just take you into the tables and columns window. Now, from here, you say primary key table. In our case, we're just going to link the customer first. So we say customers. And from customer, you've got different columns in your customer table. But what we need is we need the ID column, and that needs to be on the foreign key table, which is orders. And what order uh, column is that? So it is the customer ID in orders column. Click OK. So you now have that relationship built in here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, by the way, is if you look at the table designer, so it says enforce for replication and enforce foreign key constraints. Now, recommended that you keep this as yes and yes. So what that would mean is, if for example you add an entry onto the order table for a customer that don't exist on the customers table, there is going to be an error that it say this customer don't exist in customers table, so you cannot place an order for someone who's not in the customers table. We'll see an example of that on the screen as well. But the table designer enforce for replication, enforce for foreign key constraint, check both of them as yes. So you don't want to replicate the data, duplications will be avoided, and also you will enforce the foreign key constraint, which the purpose of the relationship is so that you need to make sure that the data exists in both of your tables. That was the customer. So we add another because we have two tables and we have two relationships in our orders table. So the next, again, click on the same three dot icon. This time we will pick up our products table, and then from products table, what you need is you need the ID column, and that needs to match product ID in our foreign key table, which is the orders table. So again, click onto that one. I'm going to keep replication and key constraint yes for both. That's this. So we say close. Now that relationship is now added. Just going to say yes and save the new changes. So when you click on save changes, what you'll see the pop-up window here, and it says product, customers, and orders. All of these tables will be affected, and that is fine because now we create a relationship between the three tables. So we click yes, and that is now close. So what we now have is we now have a formal relationship between these three tables. Uh, let's just add an example where we add an order for a customer that don't exist. So if I just go onto the orders, say edit top 200, I'm just going to say the date. So today's date is again 28/7/2024. This time I'm going to say customer 800 or 8,000. I know we don't have 8,000 customers. I'm just going to do again 11, but if I said quantity 1 now, let's see what you get. So when you hit enter, you try to insert your data into your orders table. It comes up as the foreign key. foreign key underscore customers. The conflict occurred in demo database customers column ID. The statement has been terminated. So that's telling you is that you don't have the customer 8,000 in your customers table. Therefore, you cannot add the order. Click OK, and that would just be as this. So that's how you create your relationships. Now there are a few references which is now added to your databases, to the demo database and your tables, by the way. So if we click on orders, first of all, you look at keys. So you've got three keys. You've got a primary key, which is your order, and then you've got two foreign keys from your customers table and your product table. And if we go into columns in here, now one other change that you'll see is you've got your customer ID with a key symbol, and then again product ID with a key symbol, but you've also got the FK word next to just before your data type. So that tells you that customer ID is a foreign key from a customer's table. You can make changes to your relationship, by the way. So all you need is in your keys. If you double click on customer uh, key, it would just load up the same window that we saw from first time, and we can make changes from to your relationship in here. But don't want to do that, so just close. Just for reference, that you can make changes to your relationship tables from the keys that is in your foreign key table, which in this case is orders.